Today, December 13th, marks the 100th anniversary of the first introduction of the Equal Rights Amendment in the U.S. House of Representatives. 100 years. We are not willing to wait one more year for our rights to be protected in the Constitution, regardless of sex.
After a century, the demand for constitutional sex equality is long overdue and more urgent than ever. The United States is the only modern democracy that does not include sex equality in their constitution.
Why do we need to beg for basic rights and protections from our elected leaders? They need to do what is right and what is just. Our government officials must make the Equal Rights Amendment an official part of the United States Constitution.
We're witnessing the erosion of rights and protections for women, LGBTQIA+ people, and gender-expansive people before our very eyes.
Anti-transgender laws are on the rise across the nation, and we continue to see censorship and silencing of Black and Brown communities, and the banning of the true history of our country. All of this highlights the urgent need to publish the Equal Rights Amendment.
The Supreme Court's narrow view on sex equality, as expressed in the recent Dobbs decision, also underscores the need for the Equal Rights Amendment. Our laws are not sufficient to protect us against sex discrimination, and the Dobbs decision made that painfully clear.
If the ERA had been published in January 2022 as the 28th Amendment after its ratification in 2020, the outcome of the Dobbs decision could have been completely different or not even up for debate.
Nearly 80% of people want to see the Equal Rights Amendment in our Constitution where it belongs. And we have the support of the international community through the United Nations.
The UN Human Rights Committee is calling upon the United States government to include explicit protection against sex and gender-based discrimination through an Equal Rights Amendment, following statements from the ERA Coalition in partnership with Equality Now and other leading human rights organizations this October in Geneva.
The committee's recommendation underscores that the Equal Rights Amendment is foundational to achieving sex and gender equality, as well as addressing sex and gender-based issues like human trafficking, domestic violence, and female genital mutilation/circumcision that were brought up in the committee.
The mission to see the ERA published in the U.S. Constitution is as fiercely urgent today as it was 100 years ago. Our elected leaders must stop pointing fingers at who is responsible for righting a century of harm. And it's time to stop the blame game and hold them all accountable for the ERA's publication with no more obstacles and no more delays.
The call for the ERA's publication from the people will bring us closer to the promise of the U.S. Constitution, a promise that remains unfulfilled. It will secure a fundamental human right and protect us all from discrimination based on sex.
It's time, long overdue. That's what we keep on saying. But 100 years is 100 years of injustice, and it's needed. The Equal Rights Amendment should be published immediately and recognize that it is the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution.
We are closer than we have ever been to finally having the 28th Amendment in our Constitution.
Together, we are making history. Join our movement of movements. Sign the ERA petition and help create a future that makes equality a reality for all.